Hello and welcome to EBAday 2022 in Vienna. I'm Hannah Wallace, and in the studio now to discuss fraud and the increase of mule recruitment is Freddy Arthur from NICE Actimize. Freddy, thank you very much for joining us. It's good to have you on.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
So this is a really pressing topic and at the centre of a lot of discussions over the course of EBAday. That's fraud and the increase of mule recruitment. I want to begin by looking at the impact of instant payments in this space. Can you tell us what is the impact and why is it so important? Let's start there.
Sure. So over the past couple of years, we've been transacting far more digitally than ever before. And even in the last year alone, within NICE Actimize clients in banking, we've seen a 38% increase in terms of digital transactions. On top of that, we've also seen a 63% increase in attempted fraud.
Right.
So that, if you layer that with the fact that many of us are now adopting to instant payments, that's created a massive challenge. And with instant payments, there have been some markets where we've had instant payments for a number of years, other markets where they're relatively new. But this has created a lot of benefit for consumers in terms of real-time payments, but also vulnerabilities in terms of creating a great attack surface, a broader attack surface with which fraudsters can operate in order to be able to commit authorized payment fraud, so social engineering and scams. And we've seen this grown massively. It's a big industry problem. Hundreds of millions per year are being lost to authorized fraud. And as an industry, we know that individual point solutions on their own can't solve this because a huge range of different fraud typologies that you're looking to address. And that's where NICE Actimize have really helped to be able to implement machine learning AI models with which to address specific targeted challenges to be able to reduce this types of fraud in terms of detecting it, but also making sure that you have a much lower fraud alert rate. So big challenge, but also behind authorized fraud, there are money mules. So money mules is a big challenge as well. And we've seen a massive recruitment in terms of money mules. And we're seeing amongst our clients a big incentive to actually not just detect the fraud, but also to be able to identify the mules at the transactional stages, but not just at transactional stages. How can we actually prevent this fraud from happening in the first place? So the earlier identification of money mules at account opening, but also the early account monitoring stages as well. So this complete ecosystem to be able to detect authorized fraud at point of transaction and identify money mules is really key, because at the end of the day, you need to break that cycle to reduce the attack vector via which the fraud takes place.
All right, that's really interesting. So thank you very much for setting the scene for us there and highlighting those challenges. So now let's talk about the scale of those challenges. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, of course. Money mules has proliferated in the last couple of years massively. Only last year we saw, this is data from CIFAS, there was a 78% increase year on year in terms of accounts of people aged 21 and under showing the hallmarks of money mule activity. If you looked at the age group between 21 and 30, that was 76%. So big increase, and that's just younger people. Also, we see older people being targeted, so the age between 40 and 60. There's a stat of 34% increase in terms of money mule activity. The other thing I wanted to mention is the European Money Mule Action Group did some work last year where over the course of 2.5 months, and this is a European-wide body, they were able to identify over 7,000 transactions within that space of time, where 70 million or close to 70 million of fraud was prevented, but they also identified 18,000 money mules, of which 1,800 arrests were made. So that's kind of the scale of the problem that we're dealing with, and that's why it's so key that we not only address authorized fraud detection, but also we're looking at how is that perpetrated, and money mules play a very key player in terms of the fraud ecosystem within that.
All right, it's an incredibly large problem then, by the sounds of it. Okay, so what should be the response here then, and what should be considered moving forward?
So the response is, and where we see great success, is the application of machine learning and AI models, which are used to help detect money mules and authorized fraud at the point of transaction, but also much further up front for mule detection, at the point of application, early account monitoring. And we've seen huge success in terms of applying these AI and machine learning models to specific fraud typologies, because there are a huge range of different MOs in terms of how these fraud scams take place. So using sophisticated models, but also bringing in data, not just customer data, but reference data and third-party data, which is appropriate to the type of challenge that you're looking to address. So behavioral analytics, device data, we've seen really good stuff from mobile intelligence, beneficiary data, but also from dark web data as well. So recently data breach, recent PII data that's been breached. All of this can be really, really powerful in helping you to detect fraud. And finally, we've also seen great success in terms of key indicators which we've developed over many years, which are used to detect that fraud from industry experience. So yes, it's really key that we bring all that together, and the great kind of benefit that we've seen is being able to help detect fraud much, much earlier, being able to identify those money mules earlier on in the cycle, and help organisations protect their customers, but also to protect their own reputation, and ultimately be profitable in terms of being able to be a much more difficult target for money mules and fraudsters alike.
All right, so I'm hearing there's still a way to go, but a positive note to end on. Really interesting to hear what you're doing at Nice Actimize, and some really interesting mentions of the use of technology there as well. But Freddy, I'll let you get back to the event. It's day 2 and there's still a lot to enjoy, but thank you very much for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much.